The word occult simply means hidden. Everybody thinks it has some sort of mystical, magical meaning to it, but it just simply means something that's not hidden or is hidden.
Why do some things get classified as the occult and some things get classified as religion?
Because we do religion, you do the occult.
It's that simple, right? It's not who's doing it. It's not what they're doing. It's who's doing it.
If we do it, it's okay. If they do it, it's wrong.
Is there any kind of fundamental difference that you would say, okay, these two things seem the same on the surface, but underneath there is something that people just feel differently about?
I take any religion, take the names off of it, and just say, here's the fundamental structure of what this religion does. And compare it to, compare them. You can't tell the difference between, even a mainstream religion and the occult practice, witchcraft practice. It's all fundamentally the same. The practitioners are trying to gain some connection to the divine.
What would you say that occultism kind of in practice, like what does that look like today?
Well, it doesn't really look like most people think it does. They're not sacrificing virgins on an altar, in some hidden dungeon. The vast majority of occult practitioners today, you wouldn't even recognize them because they look like everybody else. There's a lot of spirit belief that you can achieve a kind of oneness with the universe by chanting certain prayers. And again, the crystal healing thing is a major holdover from those early days. And so that's why if you go into, a witch store, what are they selling mostly in the window? Crystals. Because it's still believed that the crystal could be something to sort of focus energy, pull in the good emanations, chase the bad emanations away. Today's modern occult practitioners don't really fit the stereotype, the movie, TV stereotype. And anybody who does is faking.
Yeah, they're putting on an act, right? Like it's more for the attention aspect of it.
Right. That's why you get these groups. They're usually teenagers who start we're going to become Satan worshipers, and we found an old house somewhere in the woods, and we're going to go in there, we're going to paint pentagrams on the wall and do all this stuff. And it's about self-empowerment. The people who often do that fake sort of Satanist witchcraft stuff, they're people who feel they have no power in the world. How do I get it? If I worship Satan, I can get power. If I become a witch, I can get power. Real witches don't do that, because that's not what they're about. And the problem with that is, unfortunately, like we can sit here and sort of laugh at it a little bit. Oh, Satan worshiper, tell Satan I said hi next time you're talking to him. It can turn deadly. We have a number of cases where young people get into this, and the next thing you know, they're out killing people because, well, Satan wanted me to do this. If you remember some years ago, there was the infamous Son of Sam.
Yeah, New York. Right?
And they catch the guy, and I was talking to a dog, and I'm a Satanist. I'm doing all this stuff. It turns out, people looked at this and they said, "Oh my God, this is just the tip of the iceberg." There are these satanic groups. We even call it the Satanic Panic. It happens here in America, and it happens in England as well. This has got to be part of a much wider conspiracy of people doing terrible things. And the next thing you know, you have, researchers, journalists who are taking every single weird murder case and looking, they were part of this grand conspiracy. Charles Manson's part of this thing. And, every weird, disturbing murder they could find, they somehow hook it up to this.
Is there any evidence, though, that following the occult path takes people to a place that following the religious path does not?
I don't think so.
I would say mainstream religions, at least like I was raised in a mainstream religion, but there's a hope there. Is there the same kind of hope in occult practices?
Yeah, I think there is. That's why they do it.
It really isn't any different then.
I don't think so. I mean, there's probably a lot of very devout religionists listening to this right now, screaming at me on their computer. But I study this stuff for a living, and I teach this stuff for a living. And again, I would love to be able to say, look, don't worry. No matter what happens in this life, when you die, if you've been a good person, you'll get to go to this nice place, or you'll see these people that in your life that you loved, that you've lost, you'll be able to see them again. I have no evidence that happens. I wish it did. I would be so happy if when I die, I open my eyes and there's all these people. I would love for that to happen. The spiritual is called it Summerland. That's where all the spirits were. And you could go to Summerland because it was always nice. The weather was always nice. Yeah. Everybody was dressed in like bitchin' Victorian outfits, and you could speak to Ben Franklin, or you could speak to George Washington, or you could speak to Siddhartha, or you could meet Jesus, and you'd have these sort of endless garden parties where you could sit. The weather was always wonderful, and everybody's in great outfits. It would be great that was a real thing. I just don't think there is.